Whenever you're ready, Abdullah. بسم الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره. Brothers, can you keep it down just a bit? Keep it down. We're starting the sister class. It's recording. It's broadcasting. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We continue in the chapter of Buloogh al-Maraam by the great illustrious scholar Al-Hafiz Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah rahmatun wasi'ah المتوفى سنة 852. The great illustrious scholar Al-Hafid ibn Hajar Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah. We continue Kitab al-Nikah, which is in regards to the family issues regarding what is the rights and what is important and very vital in the affairs of marriage. To have a marriage or have the relation in the marriage, have it very healthy and also likewise prosperous so it can continue and be longevity. We finished the hadith on Ibn Abbas, and the hadith of Ibn Abbas, ya ma'ashal ikhwa wal akhawat, when we told everyone also likewise to bring your books. That's very important. As far as in the affairs of the classes, we constantly tell the people on a consistent basis to bring their books and bring their PDF with them, because that's important in following along in the class. As we tell brothers, and also likewise advice to our sisters, and sometimes I notice, not all the time, but sometimes I notice that there's talking, and I can hear children talking on the sister side. And it seems like that's in every city. Every city you hear the women having side conversations and the children running. And then in the end, what comes and how a sister loses out is when she leaves and becomes weak in her religion. And she's not uneducated. Why? Because when she comes to class, she talks, side conversations. So likewise, even right now, I hear side conversations. I hear it. There's some side conversations going on. Then you wonder why a sister goes back and believing that Jesus died on the cross again. Never educated yourself in the affairs of the Aqidah. If you would have learned and took time out to learn your Aqidah, you would have known that first of all, Jesus never died on the cross in the first place. You would know that he was never died on the cross. It was another man. They killed him, but Jesus never died on the cross. Why do you know? So why are you back in the church? Why? Because you never took time to learn these usul. Then you hear statements like, and do you see the women in the house having these excessive feelings for men as if he's a deity? As if a man is a deity. Everything, your whole world dwells around him. Why? Because your affairs of Aqeedah is mixed up. Your love is excessive to the man you love now. Your natural love carried on to the love as if he's your Lord. Which is some type of discrepancy in your belief system. That's the reason why people go astray, because they don't take time out to learn these affairs. Then you wonder why you're having problems and social problems. And I know the majority of those conversations my sister Sada is about, my man isn't doing this, so-and-so's not doing this, he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and that did that, and that did. And my man did this, and he divorced this, and he got khul' for this, and they got a marriage for all that. You know why? Because the usul, they never took time out to learn it properly, to know how to deal with it properly. So I asked the sisters again, I hear still, conversation still going on, talking, I still hear it. Every city, even in Philadelphia, same thing. Come to teach sisters classes, we don't have no class. They complain, they send complaints on the internet, no sisters classes. Have sisters classes, you hear conversations. And I've heard it from every day. Every Salafi day says the same thing. How's Somali? You hear him. They had to give a whole lecture, sister stop talking. How about House Somali? Sister, stop talking. Also right up in New Jersey. Sister, stop talking. Sisters, why do you come here? For what? Do you come here to learn for it? To socialize or learn? Which one? Every day he complains about the same thing about the sister. Can't have class. Then the sisters complain. There's no sisters classes. Sisters class is now established. All you hear is talking, conversation. No win situation with our people. Now here in Washington, D.C., same thing. Our Salafi community, established classes, people talking. Anyway, if everyone want to turn to the page in Buloogh al-Maraam, like we said, we stopped and we talked about again. We stopped at the hadith of Ibn Abbas. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We finished the hadith actually. It was pertaining to the hadith of Ibn Abbas. He said that if one of you wants to go and be intimate with his family, then let him say, in the name of Allah, Allahumma jannibna ash-shaytan wa jannibna ash-shaytana ma razaqtana, to the end of the narration as we talked about last week. We also extracted from this hadith, and you notice that every opportunity when we have the chance, we come from an aspect which is aqadi. We try to also cover the issues pertaining to family, in which we incorporate inside of it affairs pertaining to the usul of the aqidah, because that's very important. Because like we said, I tried to educate and build the sisters' foundation in their belief system. And that's the reason why a lot of sisters and a lot of people in general go astray. Not just our sisters, but even the brothers. Because they don't know the proper aqidah. Then you'll find them going on the websites, believing that Allah is everywhere. Or you believe that the Muslims still, and there's some Muslims out there that still believes in zodiac signs. And I've heard this with my own ears. The sisters want to know that still to this day. Sisters have been Muslim for 3 or 4 years, Salafi, still believing in zodiac signs. And I've seen it with my own eyes. And I couldn't believe it when I went on the internet. Even my wife said, my wife showed me one time, she said, see, look at this. All sisters want to focus on his marital issues, but look at this. I looked on it. She showed me a tweet, said, still she's a Libra. It's not going to be a fortunate month for me in my life. I couldn't believe it. The Salafi sister with niqab on, and she's committed major shirk. You worry about family issues, you worry about your problem with your man, you in that state, you know you're going to have the wrath of Allah upon you forever. And you worrying about what's going on with your man. You should be worried about what's going on with your Lord. But your Lord being angry with you because you commit major shirk, you commit shirk, which is the ultimate disgraceful, disgusting sin, worse than murder. Shirk is worse than murder, bloodshed. Shirk is worse than that. Will land you in hell and be in it forever. Never come out if you die in this state. But they worried about social issues. My man did this, my man did this, my man did this, my man did this, and you commit major shirk. That's the problem right there. The problem right there is your relationship with your Lord is not straight. When your relationship with your Lord is not straight, your relationship with the khalq is not going to be straight. When your relationship with Allah Ta'ala is not upright and straight, then the affairs with the creation is not going to be straight. That's what you have to realize. And the sisters sometimes need this. You need tough love. Just like your parents sometimes come down to you. It's not all, it's all. Sometimes, yes, that gentleness, our children do need it. But sometimes then you need that what? That tough love too. You need a combination of both so you can be straight. We don't let one overwhelm the other. It's time to be soft and it's a time to be what? Stern. But we get tired of hearing this stuff all the time. The sisters complain and then you hear, when you're trying to establish and help them and aid them, you hear conversations, loud talking on the other side, of the sister side. And like I said, I heard every dad complain about this. Even Mustafa George, one time he talked about that. And about maybe for Ramadan, he said, the sister, subhanAllah, come here, do you hear them loud? What are they doing? Every day. I don't know if the sisters need some more time for recreation. I don't know what it is to get that out of them so when it's time to learn, they relax and they can sit and learn. I don't know what it is. But at any rate, like we said, in these ahadith, we take the opportunity to refer to the affair of aqa'id, the affairs of aqidah. Within these ahadith, and notice that even Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen rahimahullah in his commentary, in every point, in every hadith, he always took a time out to extract an affair or a benefit that's pertaining to the creed or the aqidah, or the foundation, or the usul, or the belief system, or the creed of Ahl Sunnah, in every hadith. And we mentioned it said, number one, where it said, Bismillah. In that in itself is an affair of what is talking about what? The usul. And also talking about Allahumma jannibna shaitan, even in that is Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. In that is Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah to the end of it, to the end of the hadith. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. We also talked about, it said that the hadith said how if one was to make this dua, this supplication, how to preordain. Now listen to what it says in the last narration. We'll end it and we'll get started in the next hadith. Not the Jabriyyah, the Qadariyah. The Qadariyah who say that you are the one that control your destiny, you're the one that's in control. You're the one that controls everything. You're the one that creates your own actions to the end of it. Here it's letting you know that what? It's been predetermined that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say is not waste the time studying these beliefs, because like we talked about, within the minds of the people to this day, like we talked about before, even the kuffar, even though they're not called the actual Qadariyah, but they carry the ideologies of the Qadariyah, because you'll find from the kuffar who say Not a group. Sahaba. The Prophet ﷺ warned against bid'ah, and I heard this benefit from our Shaykh, Muhammad Abu Uthman, Muhammad al-Anjari, where he said in so many lessons, the Sahaba, during their time, the Prophet ﷺ used to warn against bid'ah over and over again. And there was no bid'ah during the to get them prepared. If this happens, you know how to deal with it. So it's not here in America, la ya Shaykh. Rather the Sahaba, just as the tremendous benefit the Shaykh had pointed out, he said, in these affairs, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, just like during the time of the Sahaba, Prophet ﷺ used to warn against bid'ah all over and over again at every khutbah. فَشَرَّ الْأُمُورِ There's no group فرقة قائمة بذاتها تسمى معتزلة اليوم. There's not a group specifically now called the Mu'tazila. Specifically called the Mu'tazila, just stand out there called the Mu'tazila. But why do we still study their aqa'id? Because it's still what? Present. It's present in some of the other deviant sects. For example, the Ash'a'ira. The Ash'a'ira have the aqeedah of the Mu'tazila. Because the Ash'a'ira do believe that the Quran is created. If you study the aqeedah of the Ash'a'ira, they believe the Quran is created, which is the aqeedah of what everyone, the Mu'tazila. So that's the reason why we still study it, because the Ash'a'ira is present. Millions of Muslims are upon the aqeedah of the Ash'a'ira. So we still study it. And also likewise, we said all the aqeedah and all of the Rawafid and the Shia carry the aqeedah of the Mu'tazila. So no one should come to you and say, oh, you Ahl Sunnah, you Salafis, waste your time in studying these books. That's just Islamic heritage from history. You waste your time with those stuff. We don't got those dangers anymore. It's all between kufr and iman now. It's all just between disbelief and faith. That's the only thing that's left. As some people used to say when they was here, and I'm not scared to say it, the old imam that used to be here. Those are deviant sects. You're not really, you study it. Yeah, it's good to study it, but it's not really a danger like that. It's not. What's the problem here in America is between kufr and iman, between the mu'mineen and the kuffar. It's batil, ya akhi. What are you talking about? All this stuff, even aqeedah, the Mu'tazila, the aqeedah, if we just gave an example how the Qadariyyah, how the kuffar even have these ideologies. How many of us who are kuffar have heard them say out of their own tongue, life is what you make it. That's I believe that's the aqeedah of what, everyone? The Qadariyyah. She okay? Life is not what you make it. Life is about choices that Allah has given you because you have the free choice. But at the end of the day, nothing happens except as by Allah Ta'ala's what? Will. That's what we say as a Muslim Salafi who has a clear mind and a clear mindset. That's how we say it. We say, no, we have a free choice. Allah has given us our will to conduct and choose between haqq and batil, or dalala and what? Huda. Between guidance and misguidance. We have the choice. But at the end, the ultimate one who determines And the final affair goes back to who, everyone? Back to Allah wa ta'ala. And if He wants to, and there's nothing that happens in this existence except if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to have it, no matter what it is in your life. If Allah wants you to have something, no one can stop it. And if Allah wa ta'ala does not want you to have something, you will never have it. I don't care how many college degrees you have. I don't care how much weights you can lift at a gym. I don't care how much. I'm not saying not to do these things. You should do these things. If you can, exercise it from time to time. Go out and try to be educated. Nobody's saying don't do that. But have the aqeedah that the final affair goes back to who? Ultimately back to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's an ayah where Allah wa ta'ala says in His book, مَا يَفْتَحِ اللَّهُ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ رَحْمَةٍ فَلَا مُمْسِكَ لَهَا وَمَا يُمْسِكْ فَلَا مُرْسِلَ لَهُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. That's an ayah in the Quran. Allah does not open up anything of good for the people, except if Allah wants them to have it, no one can hold it back. And if Allah holds it back from anyone, no one can give it to him. And He is Azizun Hakim. That's the reason why we talk about the usul and the aqeedah. Because if you don't believe this, your mind is messed up. You understand, everyone? طيب. Last part of the hadith, it says, فَلَمْ يَضُرَّهُ الشَّيْطَانِ أَبَدًا. That the shaitan what? He said the shaitan will never be able to harm the child. And we talked about the meaning of that. We talked about the different harms can come what? In any way. Whether it be in the body, whether it be in hissi, ma'nawi, khuluqi, khilqi, or khalqi, afwan. Khalqi, khuluqi, hissi, ma'nawi. We said that, as Shaykh Muhammad al-Salih al-Uthaymin, we even read some of the commentary, he said that the harm can attain in any of those affairs, whether it be as far as in the deen of the child, or in his behavior, or in his body, or and so on and so forth. He says it can take place in either which way. But he said Allah knows best how shaitan can affect the child. But the most important thing is that we say here that what? If one wants to be intimate with his spouse, then he should what? He should say that dua. Because number one, we said it will keep the shaitan away from what? Away from the child, and also from you being intimate with your wife. As you'll find even in the commentary that is mentioned. If you don't say these dua before you eat, what does the shaitan do? He eats with you. Likewise, before you intimate your spouse, do the same thing. Shaitan right up with you. You understand, everyone? So all these things of Abu Khalil, please don't start the day. Oh my, please. It's not even his fault. It's the face he makes. It's the face. Funny guy. طيب. So we said that the shaitan will never be able to harm the child. Allah knows best, and we know the aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah, which is what, everyone? That the kayfiyya, Allahu alam, biha. How it's done and the manner it's done, Allah knows best how it actually takes place and is actualized. Right, everyone? Like we mentioned. طيب. Next hadith, in the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, if you look in your books, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Let me turn to my page, excuse me. جيد. No. جيد. On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, and we know Abu Hurairah, his name is who, everyone? Abdurrahman ibn Sakhr ad-Dawsi. That's the rajih, even though there's a lot of different aqwal of his name, Abu Hurairah, but that which is what majority of the scholars agree on, with the name of Abu Hurairah, we know his kunya. And the reason why he was called Abu Hurairah is because not only because he's a father of the kitten, but the person who has the kunya Abu, it can mean and be intended by different things. From them is that you're the father of a specific child. That's one. Number two, or something that you're even known for as far as a hirfa, as far as even how you translate hirfa? Like a hirfa is like a profession. like a mihna or hirfa, like a profession you may have. For example, Abu Hidha. You even heard some of the tabi'een, you'll be like, why is he called father of the shoes? Because that was a word, that was something he used to do with. He used to be in employment, or that was his way of making work and things of that nature. Abu Hidha. And also likewise, for example, if he had a what? Hurayra, a child, the kitten. Likewise, he used to always carry a kitten with him. Abu Hurayra, radiyallahu anhu arda. He used to carry a kitten with him a lot. And that's the reason why he was called Hurayra, because he always used to carry around with him a cat, or a cat will always be with him. Radiyallahu anhu arda. So that's the reason why he was called Hurayra, because it comes from the word hir. As hir in the Arabic language means kitten, hir. But they took the tasghir of it. There wasn't what they call tasghir. Meaning, for example, rajul. And there's different intentions for it. One of them, if I wanted to make mockery of you, I'll say, no, you're not a rajul, you're a rujail. You're lesser than a man. Understand? You understand? Not a rajul, you're a rujail. You understand? Also, what's intended by tasghir is to make something, to let you know that it's something that's minor. It's smaller than what something that is usually the adult or something like that. Like, for example, you heard Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah, when he said he was praising him, rahimahullah, and amongst the people. People was praising him, he says, the muhaddith of the century to the end of it. Notice Shaykh al-Albani, what did he say? He said, I'm a tuwaylib al-ilm. He didn't say talib al-ilm. He said, I'm a tuwaylib al-ilm. He said, I'm a less smaller than the smaller of a student of knowledge. Yeah, the Imam al-Albani. Imam al-Albani. He said, I'm less than the less of a student of knowledge. But at any rate, that's what he said, tuwaylib al-ilm. He used the word, what everyone? Tuwaylib. Tuwaylib means what? It's smaller than what? Than the usual thing. Like you say, for example, kitab. If you want to say just a little pamphlet, you would say kutayyib. So that's the same thing with what? The word hir. If you want to say hir, you will take it and make the tasghir, put it on to say that it was a less of a smaller kitten than the usual kitten, which is Hurayra. You understand, everyone? طيب. For Abu Hurayra, his original name was what, everyone? Abdurrahman ibn al-Sakhar al-Dawsi. And he was originally from Yemen. Radiyallahu anhu arda. He was originally from Yemen. A lot of people don't know that. Abu Hurayra was from Yemen. Like we said, he migrated to Medina. I'll talk about the little history of it. We won't get to the hadith. But anyway, his name was Abdurrahman ibn Sakhar. Abdurrahman ibn Sakhar al-Dawsi. Radiyallahu anhu arda. He said, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا الرجل امرأته إلى فراشه فأبت أن تجيء فبات غضبان لعنتها الملائكة حتى تصبح. He says that if a man calls his wife to the sleeping quarters or the sleeping residence or the bedroom, he says, and she refuses to come to him, he says, and the husband remains upon the night angry, then the malaika will curse her. The malaika will curse her until they come upon the morning, until she comes upon the morning. The hadith is what? Muttafaqun alayh. The hadith is in al-Bukhari and Muslim with the exact same wording. That's the meaning of al-Muttafaqun alayh. Muttafaqun alayh agreed upon, meaning that it's in Bukhari and Muslim, both narrations. It's about the love is for Bukhari, which is the highest grade of authenticity of a hadith. So inshallah, authenticity, nobody has any doubt on it. Also, which is in Sahih Muslim, it says, كَانَ الَّذِي فِي السَّمَاءِ سَاخِطًا عَلَيْهَا حَتَّى يَرْضَى عَنْهَا. What time is it, everyone? Wow, time flies. طيب. He says, also in Muslim, it says that the one who is in the heavens, or above the heavens, if a woman abstains from answering to call to her husband, and she refrains from doing that, it says, كَانَ الَّذِي فِي السَّمَاءِ, that the one who's above the heavens will remain angry upon her until the husband is what? Pleased with her. Until the husband is what? Pleased with her. طيب. So we said, notice that if you'll find that this whole chapter, all the chapter, you will notice, even from the hadith previously, notice that all these hadith, this one, now go back again, you go back. This hadith, it says it's talking about, and it's addressing the what? The man. Right, everyone? For the man to what? Come to the wife. طيب. The hadith before it, same thing. If a man comes to his wife doing such and such, then Allah Ta'ala says in the ayah, your women is a harvest for you. طيب. Notice that Allah Ta'ala has addressed all this starting with what? With the man. To let us know that the origin of jima', of the haqq of being intimate, starts with what? The man. Starts with the man. Understand with it? That's the understand everyone? That's the asl. That's the origin. It starts with what? The man. It's not for us to say and for us to come now and say, for example, well, why Allah to make it like that? Why is the men? Because the men are the maintainers and the ones who are supposed to take care of the women. And they're the ones who Allah has picked and raised them as a degree over the woman. He raised them in a degree. The man, he raised the man, not the woman. He raised the man over the. He raised the man over the woman in a degree, and also because what they spend, and also because of what everyone, also because of the more completeness in their aql in the mind, because they have to pray all the time, and there's not a time where they have to stop praying like the women do, and also likewise, one shahada of one man, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the hadith that the nuqsan of the woman is based. Because 2 shahadas of a woman equals a shahada or testimony. 1 testimony of what? 1 man. طيب. So for those instances, notice that the hadith in this narration here, and if you go back a little bit, the narration before, Allah Ta'ala made it in the hand of what? That the jima' or the origin of it being obligatory starts in the hand of the man. It starts in the hand of the man. As far as what we're going to speak about, inshallah, about what is pertaining to the woman, then no doubt. Also, the ulama addressed that, and we'll talk about that, inshallah, where the man shall also accommodate his wife if she wants to be intimate, because that's from the maqasid al-shara', in which even Sheikh Salih Fawzan had even mentioned. I'll just read quickly what he says. Hafidhullah wa ra'ah. Where he said that, he said, لِأَنَّ قَضَاءَ الْوَطَرِ. Listen to what Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentions. He said, لِأَنَّ قَضَاءَ الْوَطَرِ من أعظم مقاصد الزواج له ولها وفيه إعفاف للفرج وغض البصر كما قال يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج فإنه أغض للبصر وأحسن للفرج. This was Sheikh Salih Fawzani mentions to say. He said from the most greatest of the rights of the one being married upon his wife, he says that she should answer him if he calls her to the bed. He said, because a man relieving himself of that strong desire, he says it's from the greatest of what's intended of what? Of marriage, as far as him and her. But he didn't leave out the woman. He said, lahu wa laha. For him and her. Because in it is keeping the private parts chaste. So no one falls into what? He says, fihi i'faf al-farj. Fihi i'faf al-farj. Wa ghaddu al-basar. In it is keeping the private parts chaste. And I keep saying chaste sometimes. Chaste. In America, they say chaste or chaste. They say both. I know in Britain, they say chaste. Chastity. Or they'll say chastity. Oh, it's chaste. She's chaste. A chaste woman. Oh. Either one. Jade. طيب. He said, for verily it is in that is keeping the private parts chaste or chaste. And in it, likewise, is lowering one's gaze. This is all what Sheikh Salih Fawzan is mentioning. He said, كما قال يا معشر الشباب, to the end of the hadith, O youth, whoever from amongst you is able to get married in that, he's able to have that al-ba'a. And that ba'a has a lot of meanings from them, is that he has the ability, to be intimate. And also yes. He said to let him get married. For verily it will allow one to lower his gaze, and it will keep his private parts chaste or chaste, based upon what the brothers told me. He said, فَإِذَا دَعَاهَا لِهَذَا الْعَمَلِ الَّذِي فِيهِ هَذِهِ الْمَصَالِحِ الْعَظِيمَةِ يَجِبُ عَلَيْهَا. He said, for that reason, if he calls her to do this action, he said, for verily is in it those tremendous, magnificent benefits, which is obligatory upon her to answer that call. Even to the point, now listen what Sheikh Salih Fawzan goes on to say, وَلَوْ كَانَتْ عَلَى التَّنُّورِ. Even if she was upon an oven, or a hot place. Understand? وَلَوْ كَانَتْ عَلَى التَّنُّورِ وفي حديث آخر لو كانت على ظهر قطب أو قتب. Even if she was on the back of a riding beast or on the back of a what? A camel. Yes. Not saying you understand. You understand, everyone. طيب. إذا دعاها على أي حال, the point the Shaykh has mentioned is said, if he calls her, for verily it's obligatory for her to what? For her to answer his call. وهذا من حقوقه عليها وهو أيضا من مصلحتها هي. And let's not forget, he not only just accommodates the man, speaks about the man and his benefit, but he also says her too. وهو أيضا من مصلحتها also, from her benefit. For verily is keeping her chaste and protecting her from falling into something abominable, such as what? Fornicating or committing adultery or what have you. طيب. فهذا مشترك نفعه بين الزوجين وفيه تسبب في حصول الولد بينهما وفيه إحسان العشرة وبقاء الزوجية بينهما. He says, so now we're saying that the benefit, he says that it's shared and it's distributed amongst both what? Parties, the man and the female. Right, everyone? And in it is for what? It's for one to cause and bring forth their offspring and those children. That's also the reason. And also in it is ihsan al-ishra. And also in it is also perfecting one's relationship as far as his marital affairs with his spouse, between them. And all those tremendous benefit. And it's not permissible for her to what? To abstain from his call. For verily this is from his right upon her. كما أنها من حقها عليه أن يجامعها أيضا فلو ترك جماعها وطالت المدة فلها أن تطالب لأن هذا حق لها عليه. The last part he says, حفظ الله ورعاه. He says, for verily this is from his right upon her. He says, likewise, it's from her right upon him too. Yes. That he what? That he's intimate with her, and if he leaves off being intimate, and the long period elapses, وَطَالَتِ الْمُدَّةِ, a long period elapses, for verily, he said, فَلَهَا تُطَالِبْ, for verily she can what? It's for her to demand. She's a human being. There's an athar, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that I remember years ago. And it's in Musannaf, Abdul Razzaq, Musannaf, in Abdul Razzaq's Musannaf. And we know that's a collection of athar. Abdul Razzaq, Ibn Hammam, Ibn Nafi' al-San'ani al-Yamani. Abdul Razzaq. In his book called Musannaf, Ibn Hammam. You guys are familiar, Abdul Razzaq, Ibn Hammam, Ibn Nafi'. Out of all the narrators of hadith in Imma of the past, he's the number one that I can always remember, even though my name is Abdul Razzaq, right? Abdul Razzaq ibn Hammam ibn Nafi' ibn Hammam ibn Nafi' al-San'ani al-Yamani, mutawaffa sanat 211. And he died 2011 after the Hijrah. طيب. Abdul Razzaq has in his Musannaf, right, everyone? He has in his Musannaf athar about Umar al-Khattab. And Umar al-Khattab, just to let you know, subhanAllah al-Azim, how Umar al-Khattab and the Sahaba and the leaders were very concerned about their ra'iyah. Was concerned about their what? The people who were there over their affairs, from the people. Sometimes Umar al-Khattab, when he was the Muslim ruler, when he was the Khalifa, he used to go and make rounds just to check on people. Himself. He was the Muslim ruler. He used to go around and check on the people sometimes. Radiyallahu anhu wa ardah. So Umar al-Khattab heard, as he came through one, he heard, I think there was a woman, and her husband went out to jihad for a long time. He was gone a long time. And basically, Umar al-Khattab, when he was making his rounds, she heard her say that what? That if my husband was here, this bed basically would be rocking, right? So Umar al-Khattab upon that, heard that. So Umar al-Khattab had a concern for her. She said, well, where's her husband? They said he's left, he's been gone for a long period of time. So that's when Umar al-Khattab switched it. To tell that the men can only leave out a period of time, they have to come back. In order to what? To accommodate their family. You understand, everyone? To accommodate their family, and then they will alternate with some other people and they will go out. But look how Umar al-Khattab was what? Concerned for his people. He was concerned for the Muslims. Radiyallahu anhu. You understand? Huh? طيب. So, to let us know that she said that a what? The woman is not, she's a human being too, and she's not a rock. Right? The women have desires too, right, everyone? But the asl, like we said, that's the asl. The origin is that what we said, that the it goes back to the affairs of the man firstly. That notice the hadith, it gives the what? Saying about the man. So that's the origin. Even though the man should still accommodate his wife in what? Being intimate with her and make sure she also has her desires or satisfied to the end of it. Right, everyone? طيب. So notice in the hadith it says, and now we're going to extract some of the benefits and we'll stop inshallah. بإذن الله. So number one it says, إذا دعا الرجل امرأته إلى فراشه فأبت أن تجيء فبات غضبان لعنتها الملائكة حتى يصبح. It says a man that if he calls his wife to the firash and she refuses to come, and the man comes upon the night being very upset with her, come in through the other side. So you ain't gotta. You okay? You sure you okay? طيب. He says then she refuses. Then he comes upon the night mad at her. Then the angels will what, everyone? The angels will what? Curse her. طيب. Number one, I'll read quickly what even Shaykh Uthaymeen mentions. It says, rahimahullah, rahmatullahi, he says, طلب منها أن تحضر إلى الفراش وذلك من أجل أن ينال متعته منها بالجماع. That he calls her to the bed in order for him to what? In order for him to relieve his pleasure with her, by being intimate with her. He said the hadith though, he says what? He said فَأَبَتْ, meaning that she refuses and she does not want to come and she abstains from answering his call. It says امتنعت بالفعل. He said this type of abstination or this type of refrainment here can be done either by action or it could be done by what? Either verbally. And it can be even done by conditional. Now a person will ask, how is it conditional? Number one, of course, so Shaykh Uthaymeen covers all three aspects. He said if she abstains from answering his call either by action or verbally or conditionally. All three. What do we mean conditionally? Meaning, I'm not going to be intimate with you unless you buy me this car. I'm not going to be intimate with you unless you buy me this jewelry I want. I'm not going to be intimate with you unless you, for example, give me such and such type of shoes or buy me such and such type of shoes. He said it's what? It's comprehensive for all those meanings. Verbally, what? Action, as far as action-wise. And third, unconditionally. And I'll read it quickly. He even says it here. He says, سواء كان بالفعل بأن تكرهت بأن تكرهت وتأخرت ولم تأتي وسواء علقت الإباء على شرط. Also likewise if she makes it conditional على شرط. أو لا بأن قالت لا آتي إلا إذا اشتريت لي he even says it here in the إلا إذا اشتريت لي سيارة كاديلاك. سيارة كاديلاك. أو إذا أعطيتني حليا مثل حلي فلانة أو إذا أتيت إلا إذا أتيت لي بخادم. He said, I will not be intimate with you unless you buy me a Cadillac. Or you buy me a certain type of jewelry, a huli. Or what? Or you bring me some type of what? Maid. You get me a maid, a khadim. طيب. So he said all these things are what, everyone? It's impermissible. All of it, whether she does it in that manner or one of the three, all of it is what? We said is impermissible. طيب. فبات غضبان عليها. So this says in the next part of the narration, what does it say, everyone? He says he comes upon the night being angry with her and upset because of her denying his right. طيب. In this case here, what does the malaika do? She says the malaika. Number one, from the fruits of this hadith is the establishment of there is angels. Did you notice that? That's from the arkan of our religion. It's the belief we believe there are what? Angels that are what? Unseen. We don't see them. But they are there. You understand? And they have different purposes. And they have different wadha'if. Different types of... They have different types of roles that they play and different duties that they carry out. And like we said before, I don't have anything to talk about this now? Should we talk about it? You can talk about it a little bit. طيب. The Malaika, as we know, they're a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have been created from what? From light. They are ajwath. They are, what's a weak roughly translation? They are like hollow. They don't have organs like us. You understand, everyone? They don't have organs like us. They don't eat and they don't drink like us. And they also can assume forms of human beings by the permission of Allah. Yes, by the permission of Allah, they can what? Take form of a human being. From those proofs and evidences, you guys already know the hadith of Jibreel, where he came with that man who was what? Shadid al-bayad al-sha'r. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, hadith Jibreel. He said that man that was real extreme, that white clothing that he had, and that extreme what? Blackness of his hair. He said that was Jibreel who came in the form of a what? Of a man. طيب. Also likewise, the angel that came in the form of the man who was being tested. He was what? When the man he came to him in the form of an abras, aqra' and asla'. The man who had the, I don't know all the words I'm going to translate. The one who was crippled, one was bald-headed, and one had leprosy. I think it was. That he roughly translated. طيب. The angel came in the form of those people, testing the man to see if one of those three men would do for him, what? And when they was in that state, when Allah removed it from him, would they do that back as a favor to Allah, being as their shukr, or that thanks for that ni'mah that Allah had removed from them, all those diseases that were removed, that angel came to test to see if they were what? Going to give their thanks back. But the point of reference is to what? The angel came in the form of that man, in that form of that one who was crippled, or had the leprosy, or the one who was what? Bald-headed. Right, everyone? So that shows that they what? Can take the form of a human being. Also, likewise, when one of the angels had came in the form of Dihya al-Kalbi, radiyallahu anhu abda. Now, Dihya al-Kalbi, as he was known to be from the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his name is Dihya al-Kalbi. Dihya al-Kalbi. Dihya al-Kalbi was extremely handsome. They said he was one of the handsome men of the Sahaba. And the angel sometimes used to come in the form of Dihya al-Kalbi. To let you know that they what? These are all proofs and evidence to show they can come in what, everyone? Form of a human being. Also likewise, because we know the angels have different wadha'if, different types of duties that they carry out. And they don't disobey Allah Ta'ala anything in the least. We know they're from the angels who have been entrusted to the wahi. Of course, you guys know. There's angels have been entrusted to the rain and the crops, or what have you. From the angels of Jibreel who are entrusted with the wahi. And also, as far as Jibreel and Mikael has been entrusted with the nabat and the qat and the aqtar, or that which is the amtar, or the descension of the rain. As far as the hadith of Rabb Jibreel and Mikael with Israfil, the one who's been entrusted with the horn, then that has some details in it that we have to talk about. Is that authentic to say that Israfil is the one that blows in the horn or not? Based upon the hadith, Rabb Jibreel and Mikael with Israfil, فاطر السماوات والأرض عالم الغيب والشهادة أنت تحكم بين عبادك فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون اهدني لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. That hadith, people say that hadith is to show that the angels, they are three, who are the main angels, who are Jibreel, Mikael, and Israfil. And Israfil is the one who's in charge of who? Of blowing in the horn, they say. Even though, inshallah, I'm going to bring some information about that. There's some tafsir of some details in that I want to talk about. And there was a great bahth that Muhammad Aqil and Muhammad Abdul Wahhab al-Aqil wrote in Medina about that love, about Israfil. Is he truly one? Is his name the one that truly blows in the horn? We'll talk about that later, inshallah. I'll talk about that later. It's not the time to talk about it right now. But we'll talk about that later. طيب. As far as from those angels, from them who are also, some of them say, the angel of death, or some of them say that his name is Azrael. But we said that what? All those are unauthentic narrations to prove that his name is what? Azrael. They're inauthentic narrations. Excuse me, everyone. I'm starting to get tired. But they're narrations that are not authentic to affirm that particular evidence to say that the angel of death is called Azrael. Rather, what what is authentic is that his name is Malakul Maut, the angel of death. That's what they say is authentic. But notice there's an angel who's been in charge for what? Taking people at death. There is angels that what? Take people at death. And there are angels of what? Punishment. And there are angels of what? Rahmah. Due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when the man who had killed 100 men, as people keep thinking, all it's saying is 99. No, if you notice in the narration, he completed 100. If you look in the hadith, he said he killed the man who he asked that he says they're tawbah for me. He killed him, which makes it what? 100. He started off with 99. Then when he was in the road and what? It says in the narration, he asked the monk. The monk. He asked the monk in the hadith, is there tawbah for me? Is it what? And he was a worshiper. He was a what? He was a devoted worshiper to worship. And he said, no, there is no tawbah for you. You're an evil man to the end of it. So he completed what? 100. Then he went to an alim, went to a scholar who truly had ilm of the religion of Allah and the sunnah of that prophet during that time. And he said, of course, what's going to help you from what? What's going to stop you from making that tawbah? From that benefits of that hadith is to show the benefits of how the virtue of a scholar of the Kitab and Sunnah is more virtuous than a what? A worshiper. That's number one. Number two is also from those benefit that when he died, the man or the scholar had told him to leave off the place of evil where you had what? That you were in. Currently, leave off, go to the road and leave out that land that you were in of evil. So to aid him not to fall into what? That sin again, or falling into what? Killing again. So he was in the road and he truly had sincerity in making tawbah to Allah. And while in the road, then he what, everyone? He died. What happened in the narration? What does it say? He said the angels of rahmah and the angels of punishment came and they started to argue. Which way does he go? You understand? Huh? Exactly. Says in that narration exactly. He said then there one, that angel had came as the form of a human being. I sent. He came and he said that what? He came in the form of a human being in order to resolve the issue between the malaika of the punishment and the malaika of what? Of mercy. Until he said what? Hisu ma bayna al-ardayn. He said measure between the two lands of which he's the furthest distance of one of the two, which one he's closest to, then what? Then take him, based upon which land he's closest to. Either the land of what? Either the land he's making hijrah. They found that he was more closest to the what? Of land of what? Made hijrah? Huh? No. Guys are in a rush. Mustajidun. Like some. The angels that Allah Ta'ala had what, everyone? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the land to show his mercy upon him because he truly wanted tawbah. To cause the land to be more what? Closer to the land he was making hijrah of until the angels of what? Mercy took him. But the point of reference that we're making is what? Is the angels. So I don't want to keep getting sidetracked. But the angels of, there was angels of what? Punishment, and the angels of what? Mercy. Tayyib. There's different angels of different, like we said, of different types. And that's just some of them. There's angels of who are in gatekeepers of hell, as we know. As we talked about even last night, the gatekeeper whose name is Malik, who Allah Ta'ala even himself mentioned his name in his book, in the ayah. Ya Maliku liyaqdi alayna rabbuk. Qala innakum makithun. That ayah where Allah Ta'ala, I think it's Surah Al-Jathiyah, where Allah Ta'ala says in his book, where he said, Oh Malik, that the people of hell will be in hellfire for 1,000 years. And they will see this angel there, and he will just be not moving and not saying anything. And they will be in torture, in pain. And they will say, just let our Lord do with us, or let him do away with us. Let him kill us off. So the angel, after 1,000 years, will what? Reply to them. And Allah knows best of 1,000 years of the hereafter, how it could be what? Even longer. So they notice that in the narration it says that the angel Malik will say to them, verily you're going to dwell here forever. After 1,000 years. Zukhruf ahsant. It's a sort of Zukhruf. So that ayah, ya ma'ashal ikhwah, notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically called that angel what? Malik. Called the angel whose name was what? Malik. So there are angels who are of different types, different what? wadha'if. They have different what? Different types. You have angels that even seek istighfar, and from them and their actions, they seek istighfar, they seek forgiveness for those who believe. You understand, everyone? They seek forgiveness for those who believe. And that's one of the reasons why we what? We should love the angels, because they have. And they ask Allah Ta'ala to what? To seek forgiveness for us. Also, likewise, you have to be careful. Like we said, even the angels can curse you. The angels can what, everyone? Can curse you. What's the delil for that? The hadith right here. The Prophet ﷺ had clearly said that what? The angels cursed the woman. We'll talk about what type of la'n that the angels do. Maybe in the next lesson, we'll speak about that, inshallah, next week. Is what type of la'n is it? Is it them, for example, ridiculing or mocking her? Or is it making an actual dua against her? Saying, oh Allah, il'anha, Allahumma il'anha. Is, oh Allah, curse her, oh Allah, curse her. You understand? طيب. The angels, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, of course we know, like we said, the angels seek forgiveness for those who believe. As Allah Ta'ala says in His book, He says, وَالَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشِ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهُ يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ وَيُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. You understand, everyone? That Allah Ta'ala says in His book, رَبَّنَا وَسِعْتَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةً وَعِلْمًا فَاغْفِرْ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَاتَّبَعُوا سَبِيلَكَ وَقِهِمْ عَذَابَ الْجَحِيمِ. That's the ayah. Alhamdulillah, just remembered it. Allah Ta'ala says in His book, He says, those who carry the arsh of Allah, وَالَّذِينَ يَحْمِلُونَ الْعَرْشِ, and those who are around it, He said, they glorify your Lord, يُسَبِّحُونَ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ, and they believe in Him. And they seek forgiveness for those who believe. Then Allah Ta'ala gives the type of dua that the angels make for those who believe. رَبَّنَا وَسِعْتَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةً وَعِلْمًا فَاغْفِرْ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَاتَّبَعُوا سَبِيلَكَ وَقِهِمْ عَذَابَ الْجَحِيمِ. Allah Ta'ala says in the ayah, Oh Allah, listen to the dua of the malaika for those who believe. There's another ayah where Allah Ta'ala Himself says about the angels. He says, وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. So another ayah where Allah Ta'ala says, وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. That the angels seek forgiveness for those in the earth. Of course, she knows the believers. But here in this ayah, the details of the dua is here in this other ayah. That, oh Allah, وَسِعْتَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ رَحْمَةً وَعِلْمًا. Oh Allah, you've encompassed everything as far as in your mercy and as far as in your ilm. Forgive those who believe and those who follow your path. Who's to follow the path? The path of Tawheed, the path of Sunnah, the path of the Sahaba. Understand? فَاغْفِرْ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَاتَّبَعُوا سَبِيلَكَ وَقِهِمْ عَذَابَ الْجَحِيمِ. Who follow your path, save them from hell. So that's the dua in detail of what the angels make for the what? For those who are mu'mineen, from the Muslimin, and muwahideen, for Ahl Sunnah, as-Salafiyeen. And if the people of Hadith, and the people of Salafi, and the people who are upon the minhaj of the Sahaba are not the awliya of Allah, the angels deserve their istighfar, then I don't know who is. You understand, everyone? طيب. So that is from the different wadha'if of the angels, and there are more. Because we don't have time to speak about all the... Oh, I didn't know it was 8 and 3 o'clock. I didn't know. طيب. I have to stop, because we have to make sure we keep on the time. طيب, everyone. We'll stop here about the angels. SubhanAllah, what's a good lesson to listen to? Listen to the Sharh of Ma'arij al-Qabul by Al-Hafidh al-Hakami, if you can find it. If you go on Google, for brothers who know Arabic, and inshallah, I'm getting our brothers and sisters there. Our sisters should be there soon enough to type things in Arabic. Check the explanation, the commentary of Ma'arij al-Qabul by Al-Hafidh al-Hakami, by the Sharh of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi. That dars is, subhanAllah, is tremendous. Dars is tremendous. Even the Sheikh himself was crying. In that dars about the malaika, about the angels. Find it. You heard me, everyone? I'll try to find it. Get one of the brothers. Hisham, can you help Buloogh? Maybe. It's in Arabic, though. But I think they might have a clip on YouTube of some of the lessons of Sheikh Muhammad al-Hadi's Durus al-Ma'arij al-Qabul, al-Hafiz al-Hakami. And he made a whole chapter of the poetry, al-Hafiz, explaining the poetry about the Malaika. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, it was a very, very influential lessons. Excellent. So because if you know more about the Malaika, you increase in love for them. And when you increase in love for them, you're more shy around them too. Because you know that what? They're writing everything you do down. You understand? And we'll talk about how they say how the angels, they're not just, it's people would think they're just like robots. Some of the angels, like we said, they act, and one angel, we'll talk about inshallah next week, tells the other, has control over the left, telling him, listen, if he does the evil, don't write it yet. Give him time to make tawbah. You understand? We'll talk about that inshallah. Okay, we'll engage him. We'll stop here inshallah. Any questions? Al-Hafiz al-Hakim. He got a pen. Hafidayfa, run and give me a pen. One of those markers. We'll stop here. Any questions, brothers or sisters? For the board? I'm talking for the board. Oh, right now on the board. You found it? But Ma'arij al-Qabul, Hafiz al-Hakami, it's called, I think it's the chapter of the Malaika. It's Bab al-Malaika. Ma'arij al-Qabul. Try that one. If any questions, just send them up now, inshallah. And like I said, brothers and sisters, apologize for me being stern. Sometimes everyone needs tough love. Even myself, as I was coming up, I was a knucklehead at one time, and I had my father hollering at me sometimes, and I had my own father. I call my second father after my own father died, who was Sheikh Muhammad al-Anjari. Who's my second father. Second father, Sheikh Muhammad al-Anjari in Kuwait, used to always come down on me, and he used to come down on me hard. You understand? Hard. You understand? Hard love. And he used to say, Abdul Razak, he used to say to me, he says, how crushing something creates a diamond. Understand, everyone? Crushing something and pressure makes a diamond. Understand? Jayid. So, Al-Hafiz al-Hakami. Ma'arij al-Qabul. Ma'arij al-Qabul. Al-Hafiz al-Hakami. Al-Hafiz. Those lessons, I don't know which one it is. It's 20 of them. I got the poetry Subra Suwiya right here. It's in Sulam al-Wusul. Sulam al-Wusul. Al-Ma'arij al-Qabul is the sharh, is the explanation for Sulam al-Wusul. Al-Ma'arij al-Qabul, al-Hafiz al-Hakami. Any questions? Anyone? If there isn't any questions, then khalas, we'll stop the lesson. Rahmakallah. You stop the lesson. I guess there's any questions. Alhamdulillah, makes it easy on me. Huh? It wasn't on speaker?